Hi, guys, and welcome to the Dead by Tomorrow podcast. My name is Daniel Winter, and my co host is Andrew Monroe. In each episode, Andrew and I will explore topics that you should think about before you die. We encourage you to remember that some tomorrow will be your last, so each day could be your final chance to really live.
Hello to our beautiful listeners. Welcome back to the show. We are thrilled to have you guys for an update on challenge number 3 for the year, which is our vertical improvement. So we only have Daniel and I this time around. So if you were loving Brett on, sorry to disappoint, but Daniel, it's good to hear you. Good to see you. I'm upset with how much higher you jumped than me, but how's everything been going? It looks like you have a busy weekend with your wife's 30th and a solo dad night and all kinds of stuff. So how's everything treating you?
Things have been good. And first of all, I have to say hello to our ugly listeners as well. You tend to greet our beautiful listeners, and I just want the ugly people to know that I'm here for them. And I care about them.
At least someone is.
No, the weekend was good. Celebrated Hillary's 30th. We went and did a roller skating party and did an outdoor movie and just did a lot of fun things in general. I've had a solo dad night here and there. Hillary's actually doing Topgolf right now with some girlfriends from church. So a solo dad night here and there, just making sure that Hillary has a chance to go and hang out with some friends. I think Riley and I washed the car tonight, so it was invigorating, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the vertical challenge where, no surprise, been kicking your butt there, but it's not it's not about the raw numbers, right? It's about what the growth is and, trying to see improvement there. So I haven't actually looked. Has your vertical changed so far in a positive way?
Well, for me, and yes, we're going to leave it as a simple answer for now. It looks like I've had an edge. And I kind of thought, we're basically at the halfway point, a little past the halfway point. I kind of thought I would have had more improvement for how little I've trained my vertical recently. But yeah, I'm up an inch based on my most recent test. So yeah, not great. What about yours?
Well, it's kind of fluctuated. So when we started the challenge, it was the measurement's a little tough. We'll call it at 31 and a half. And then a couple days into the challenge, actually dipped down to 30. And I haven't been diligently retesting every day. I've kind of spread out my tests. And so then went a little while where it stayed at 30. I think I did a retest or two in the midst of about 5 or 6 days. And then I had a day where it jumped up to 35, which was pretty awesome. And then today I did one more test for the episode and it was at 33. So yeah, at its max, it seems like there's maybe been improvement, but I'm going to go ahead and say for me, I don't know that it's adding to what my vertical is. I think it's more so just kind of seeing, based on some training and then based on rest and based on warming up, kind of figuring out where or what I could do to expect kind of a maximum vertical day. So maybe there's a little bit of improvement. I've been really consistent with my training. I've been more consistent and mindful of protein intake. The other thing that I've been doing is weighing myself each morning. I've tried to do it consistently. There have been some days that I've missed here and there, but seems like been able to add a pound or two on average. So there may be some actual muscle change.
That's fun. So you're trying to add a little bit of muscle to it. So that's part of why you're tracking. I hadn't actually asked you about that since you started doing it, but that is partly you're saying if you can up the protein intake and possibly maybe break that 160 pound mark, huh?
That's a goal. I mean, I was when I was lifting consistently I was in between 160 and 165. So I've definitely dropped some weight. Um, and it's dropping muscle weight, unfortunately. Um, so yeah,
That's the worst
the,
ever.
the goal is to get back to it. But yeah, so I'm curious to hear, you feel like you've maybe added an inch and you felt like you expected to see more growth because you haven't specifically been training vertical. So have you been doing drastically different exercises than your normal daily exercises, or like what about your routine made you feel like you're going to see some improvement?
Well, okay. First, let me talk about the negative. I I have not been as consistent with training as I was with our past sequel challenge as I was, studying. So I went to Kansas last Wednesday, and I was able to get a workout on Wednesday morning. But then my sleep schedule, my diet, and my ability to go to the gym just completely wiped through Saturday, and then Easter was Sunday. And first, the gym wasn't open, but even if it was, I probably still wouldn't have gone because I was just exhausted on Sunday. So I missed 4 days of just about everything. I did okay on the diet, I guess, but sleep was trash and no workout at all. So that was kind of frustrating that I missed so many days right before the halfway mark. But anyways, to answer your question, yeah, I'm still lifting similar what I was doing. So I'm still doing a push pull legs routine that I've been doing for the last probably 10, 11 weeks. I'm still doing that, and it's 6 days a week. But what I've changed up is I'm still hitting the major lifts at the beginning, but at the end, I've shifted over to some more of the knees over toes guy stuff. To an extent, I'm trying to follow that. I don't have a Nordic hamstring ability. Well, I probably could if I tried hard enough, but I'm not going to try very hard to find that because that stuff sucks. But I put in a bunch of box jumps. I'm doing sled work almost every single workout. So I know you're not supposed to do legs except for twice a week in this program, but I'm doing either sled or box jumps every single workout. And what's been interesting about that is I got a whoop probably 2 days after we started this. For some of our longtime listeners, they might remember at the very beginning us talking about whoops. But I got back on the whoop train and slapped it on, and immediately my recovery was at like 50% in the yellow, which is not good. Like 90 to 100% is kind of your goal where you can be peak efficiency. So the entire time I've been doing this challenge, I have been at a semi-low recovery rate, not like bad, but like definitely like the middle of the road. Don't push yourself too hard. I don't know if it's because I was going every day or what was going on, but that was probably the only positive that came out of missing the gym for 4 days in a row was when I got back. Well, actually, I guess Saturday night, I guess I went to bed early enough. And then Sunday, I got enough sleep and was able to finally get into the green on my recovery. So, and then Monday I hit my 25 inch vertical instead of the 24 inch. That was my previous peak. So maybe that helped. But that's been interesting. The box jumps, and this is for anybody who thinks that I'm in any way in shape. The first set of box jumps I did 2 weeks ago, it went okay. Like I did not feel confident doing them. I felt very weak compared to in the past when I did some. But what was most embarrassing about this, besides my ability to jump at higher height ranges than I expected, my abs were sore, like bad sore, a couple days after doing the box jumps from doing box jumps. And I don't think that's ever happened to me in my life before. So that shows how little I've been jumping that my abs hurt through doing box jumps. But what about you? You've been doing the air assault, and sorry if you've got questions on that, feel free to hit them with me. But you've been doing the air assault every day, and you've done it before. Is it effective? Like, how are you feeling on that? Because almost added like 3 inches to your vertical, at least from baseline. It seems that could have totally been a testing thing. There's always that room for air that neither of us are testing properly. But That's pretty big improvement halfway through.
Yeah, so I've been doing air alert. Just to
Or did
correct
I
it in
call it
case
air assault?
you did. No, it's okay. I just wanted to correct it
Yeah,
in case
air
anybody
alert.
looks it up. It's an old program. I didn't realize how old it was until I was just Googling a couple of the like different needs of the jumps to make sure I was doing them right. And then I saw the video and I was like, oh, this is like 80s kind of stuff. But I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot to reinvent in terms of jumping, in my opinion. And so I do think that that is one aspect of doing air alert that's pretty helpful is whenever I'm doing these workouts, I'm doing a lot of different jumps and um, it's involving arms and then there's some step up aspects of it. And I mean, yeah, it pretty much burns out your legs. And there is that muscle added sort of piece to it, but I also do think there is something to just training your body to jump, trying to, incorporate the arms. I mean, there's abs that are definitely a part of it. And so, yeah, I'm still trying to lift in addition to doing air alert. That hasn't been quite as consistent, but, trying to lift to get some additional muscle, additional power. But the thing that I've been very consistent in is just jumping. And it's actually not every day. That's another thing that I wanted to call out and kind of wanted to pick your brain on. And I put a comment on your sheet at one point, or it might not have saved, but just asking, hey, have you had any rest days? Because part of what I'm doing with Air Alert is in week one, I did Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I did an Air Alert jump program. And then Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, didn't do any jumping exercises. Now, those were days where I tended to either get a lift in or maybe I played frisbee, or there were some days where I pretty much did nothing aside from walking the dog, walking around the house. I truly had several full rest days. And then the weeks sort of alternate. So you do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the next week it's pretty stacked. So it'd be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's back to back and then a longer rest period. So that was one thing that I felt like made a difference is, having those burnout days, like my vertical dropped down to 30 at one point where I was just completely gassed. I think yesterday it was down to 30, and that was me doing a pretty intense track workout, doing a air alert workout, and then trying to do a vertical test. Like it was pretty rough, but then came back today and, after a day of rest, it's up to 33. And I feel like if I rested and then had a good warm up tomorrow, I could probably get back up to that 35. So anybody who is training, I do think there is value in kind of varying up the intensity of the workout and then finding days to rest if you've gone, too hard, so to speak. Like there was in the midst of the past 2 weeks, I guess we've been doing this a little over 2 weeks. I had a like a frisbee, I don't know, match, like a pretty intense match, like one of the harder games that I've played where I was just dead tired by the end of it, pushed myself sort of to the limit. Um, and I took pretty much 3 almost complete rest days after that. But then I'd have to go look at the dates. I think it was pretty soon after that that I hit that 35. So what is your thought on having rest as a part of your routine?
Oh man, that is a hot topic. So I swing wildly between stuff. For one, there's this idiom. I think we talked about this in the book. Man, it's been a while. But basically, whenever you're working out, what you're doing is, in a kind of graphic imagery, you're taking like a knife and you're cutting your hand. And you're trying to get a callus, right? You're trying to get this big callus on your hand. But if you take that knife and you cut the cut every single day and you never let that skin heal over before you recut it, you're never going to grow the callus. You're just going to irritate and keep this cut open. And as gruesome as that sounds, that's what happens when you're working out. You're literally tearing your muscles, and like you're damaging the muscle fibers. There's like little tears in your muscle, like you took a knife to it. And that's what happens when you work out hard, is you're hurting the muscles, and then they're re-healing over that cut, and it's basically making a bigger muscle. So that is a really good argument for rest. You need rest to give time for those muscle fibers to physically heal. Protein helps. It's one of the building blocks for that process. Obviously, adequate sleep and water, and all the other stuff. But the rest is really important. Now that sounds like it's pretty straightforward, and I'm in that alley or the team of, obviously get your rest in. Personally, some of the things I've been experimenting with is resting from maybe the heavier lifting. Like obviously I'm still resting from heavier lifting. I just squat every day. But there's this other camp that's called Grease the Groove, I think is what it's called. And basically their idea is like, hey, instead of going crazy, you just do, and it usually is body weight stuff, but you just do it a lot, and you just keep doing it, and you just keep doing it, and you keep doing it. And that has nothing to do with the knees over toes guys, but I thought about it. I was like, okay, one of the things that the knees over toes guys talked about was, he was like, every single day I sled. I sled every single day. And the reason he sleds is it helps him increase his jumping ability. So that's one of the main things I'm looking at that I changed in this program, was making sure I got my sled working, where I was pushing and pulling a sled pretty regularly. And the reason he sleds every day is less the muscle endurance, now, which is there, but it's kind of on the ligament side. And the mind-muscle connection, he is constantly reinforcing that connection that your body makes between doing something and being better at it. So the Grease the Groove is usually a pull-up protocol, where basically every hour you do like 2 or 3 pull-ups, and you end up doing huge volume of pull-ups throughout the day, but you only do like 1 or 2 at a time. And that's one of the better ways to get your pull-up numbers up. So I'm taking that, kind of overlaying it with the knees over toes guys, where he says he's sledding every single day, no matter what workout he's doing. And it's kind of like cardio. You look at these people who run, they're taking rest days, but they're taking rest days very occasionally, once a week. The rest of the time they're building up mileage. So when it comes to this, what I see as a body weight exercise, even though it's probably a little bit more explosive than a lot of body weight stuff, I'm trying to increase the volume of training with the hope that with enough protein, enough sleep, I'm still going to get that rest I need, because I'm not blowing my legs out like you're doing. I'm, maybe on the leg days, I'm getting pretty close to it, but on the upper body days, it's, we're talking a couple minutes of sled push and pull, or a set of box jumps, maybe 2 sets of box jumps. So I don't think it's having a drastically negative effect. The only argument against it I have is that Whoop data, where my recovery was just trash for almost the entire period until I didn't go to the gym for 4 days. And even though my sleep was off, I still managed to get my recovery finally into the green despite everything. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm kind of torn. I think what you're doing is probably the right way to do it, but I think there's enough arguments out there that there's a different way to try it, that I'm trying the other way, almost as like the devil's advocate here. So yeah, super, super non-committal answer on what I think the right option is here.
Well, I'm team rest for sure.
I get it. The other reason I bring this up, or the thing that it's different, I think we've talked about this before as well, so sorry for beating a dead horse. But when I was trying to get some chest gains, I wanted to fill out that t-shirt a little bit. I was trying to lift heavy, do all this stuff, and it just wasn't really working. And then I swapped over to just doing a much lighter weight workout, where I had 35 pounds dumbbells, and I was working from home. And I just got on this bench I had, like literally a wooden bench, put a blanket over it, laid down, and I would do a set of 15, I think, or maybe 20 chest presses. And I just did that on the hour, every hour for the workday. So 8 o'clock, roll around 20, 9 o'clock, 20, 10 o'clock, 20. Almost every chest workout I do now, I think back to it, I'm like, why am I even wasting my time at the gym? I should just do that, because that was like literally the only time I ever grew my chest in any measurable sense. So, and I was doing it every day. I wasn't doing it every other day. I was every day for like 3 weeks, I think. I just did chest press with dumbbells for hundreds of reps. And that worked for me. And that was whenever I started looking at this other stuff. I'm like, really, am I misunderstanding rest? And I am in no way an expert, obviously, but just there's just enough. And I knew you were doing some rest, so I was like, you know what? Let's see what happens if I push myself really hard for a while. Unfortunately, I got 4 days of rest, so the experiment didn't really work out very well. And all of that said, I'm definitely going to rest before the final test day, because I do think what you're talking about, where it doesn't matter how you like whatever you feel like. I think if you've been hitting your legs pretty hard, you're gonna test poorly. It's just how it goes. So I'll probably take a couple days of rest to catch up any possible lingering overexertion I have, and maybe 3 days before the end, and just do upper body only, or just really take it easy and see if I can get that vertical to give me another inch or two out of it, and praying that I can get up to the 30 club and only be half a foot off from you.
Yeah. So what is your ultimate goal in a month? Is it 30 inches? Is that what you're trying to get to?
No, so I don't have a number I'm aiming for. I had no idea what my vertical was whenever we started doing this, and I am still not sure, honestly. I have a method I'm testing, which is basically there's a pole vaulting contraption at the gym, and I have Derek, who's working out with me on occasion, video me as I jump up next to it and try and reach up, and then we measured off, because of course it can't be easy. Like, it's not in like standard measurements, it's pole vaulting measurements or something, I'm not really sure. So we had to figure out what the measurements actually equal to. So that's where I got my vertical from. So maybe I'm at 10 inches. I don't know. That would be sad for the record. If that's the case, and I'm like actually 10 inches to your 30 inches, I'm going to go buy a big truck.
So have you done any, just the standard basically chalk test where you mark and then you jump and mark and measure between the two?
So that's kind of, I don't have chalk. And I probably need to do something outdoors at some point with a tape measure. What we're doing is that pole vault has numbers on it. It's basically, there's numbers that don't quite make sense, but it's in foot increments. And so we did the standing one up, got my initial, which on this thing was 18. No, I cannot remember what the exact range was. So I just measured yesterday, and I was at 1910 for my 25 inches. So 2 feet less than that in an inch. So 18, 17. I guess it's like 17.3, maybe 17.2 was my standing. But yeah, we basically, we did the standing test. We shouldn't have chalk or measuring tape, but it is already pre-marked.
Okay, so if you don't have a number goal, what is your goal by the end? Like at the end of the month, how are you going to say, okay, this was a successful challenge?
Okay. Well, one, improvement in general. That is obviously what I'm going for, is the improvement to consistency. If you haven't looked, or friends listening, we have some kind of fun. I'm fairly proud of this Google sheet we have for our vertical challenge. And one of the things on it is a consistency chart. And so if the consistency chart is in the green, and that basically to me is I gave it a pretty good effort. So I'll be happy about that. One of the things I'm doing that really doesn't directly affect the vertical, but honestly, I'm going to be proud and consider it a success if I am able to follow all the way through, is I'm not drinking alcohol while we're doing this challenge. Which makes me sound like an alcoholic, so maybe that is problematic. But I think it's going to be cool to kind of do a little 30-day no alcohol thing while we're doing this. And so I'll be pretty happy if I'm able to continue to the end point without giving into social peer pressure and or whatever you want to call it that gets us to drink as adults. So that, and then obviously the end goal is some kind of increase in the vertical. I've got basically a baseline of like 24 inches, assuming I measured right. So using that same measurement, if I can get a few inches improvement in 30 days, I think that's going to be a win for me. I don't have like if I only get 2 inches of improvement, that's a loss. Like 2 inches is still, if somebody can improve their vertical 2 inches, they're probably a happy person generally.
Yeah. I mean, that's
at least in 30 days, if we're talking about a year, maybe not as much, but
no, I mean, that's a 10% increase. I mean, roughly a little less in 30 days. So it's pretty solid.
What about you? Where's your endpoint look like that you are considering you beating the challenge or needs improvement?
So there are a couple things that I would like to do to consider the challenge a success. So I'm keeping track of weight. I'd love to be able to get back up to 160. I don't know if I'll be able to do that by the end of the month. We will see. I'll need to be hitting weights a little bit more. And I have been consistently doing a strenuous track workout once a week, which is not typically a recipe to gaining weight. But we'll see if I can keep up with the protein. But I mean, at the very minimum, continuing the upward trend on my weight would be awesome. 160 pounds would be ideal. So that would be kind of a big win. And then for the vertical, yeah, obviously I want to try to increase it. Testing at 35 kind of midway through was awesome. If I can beat that by a full inch, that would be great. So 36 would put me at a nice, even 3-foot vertical. So that would be pretty cool from a number standpoint. But in reality, what I want is I want to dunk a basketball. That's what I really want to do. So I don't think I could realistically call the challenge a complete success if I get to the end of the month and I can't dunk a basketball. At the very least, I want to be able to solidly throw down a volleyball. So I think one thing I'll try to do on testing day at the end of the month, which you need to look and see what day that is. Hopefully it's not a day that I have like a tournament or something.
That would be bad.
I think what I want to do is get a nice, good warm up in, go somewhere. It'd be ideal if I could find a place that's not concrete because concrete's not super springy. And just bring tennis ball, bring a dodgeball, bring a volleyball, bring a basketball, try to just work my way up and see the largest ball that I can dunk. Then maybe the bowling ball. I don't know if I want to get crazy.
Bowling ball. That's what you should be doing on training. It's just running around jumping with a bowling ball. You get some Saiyan training in there.
Yeah, I was thinking you're starting to sound like Goku there.
What was it? Something came up probably on TikTok. And there was some trend where these girls were flexing their back muscles, and they're like trying to get on some girl on anime who I've not seen before, but there's like a clip of her pulling back a lever and she flexes her back, and so impressive back muscles. And I cracked up because Shlomi's like, that's so weird. I was like, Shlomi, that is literally why half of us dudes go to the gym is we watch Dragon Ball Z as kids. And we're all just trying to be Goku still. So I get it. Two things from what you said, by the way. First, this is my advice where I am less black, or I'm more black and white, less gray area than I am on the rest versus anything. Looking at your protein intake, you're averaging sub 150 grams, and I don't know if this is accurate because it's not like I'm an actual scientist that's looked into this, but everything I've ever read says that if you're trying to gain weight like what you're trying to do, you have to do at least 1-to-1 on that protein intake for your target weight. So if you want to be 160 pounds, you should be doing 160 grams of protein every single day. Everybody across the board that I've read anything related to that subject, that's the thing. Generally, the more successful bodybuilding, I don't know what to call them, influencers maybe, we'll pretend they're pseudoscientists. They're closer to 1.5 grams per target body weight. So 160 would be somewhere closer to the 190, 200 range. So highly, highly recommend you and anybody else who's in the same boat wanting to pack on that weight, definitely increase that protein intake, which is tough. It's been tough getting 150 in every day. I don't know about you. It's tough for me.
Yeah, I pretty much would need to eat a lot more canes is my conclusion there.
Okay, there you go. You have my permission, if that helps at all, to eat as much canes as you want for the next 15 days. Second thing that you talked about, the bowling ball was a joke, but is there anything you're going to do over the next half of this challenge differently than what you've been doing?
Well, part of the Air Alert program is that each week the volume of jumps is going up. So I am doing more throughout the program. So that will continue. And I don't really plan to change up a lot aside from just sticking with my programs, being consistent, trying to get in a little bit more weightlifting. And yeah, trying to find my test location for the end.
Excellent. No, that's not going to work. Sorry, I was thinking I might be in Dallas. I was like, maybe we can test same day, but that'll be like a week after we finish, so never mind. For me, I have been slacking at my mobility and stretching, specifically stretching on my hamstrings so it really get them elongated and engaged better. Again, knees over toes guy kind of thing. Supposedly I should be stretching a lot more and really working those hamstrings out to get them a little more snappy. So I'll be trying to make that a bigger focus. And then, like I said, I'm just not been really impressed with my performance in the gym. I feel like I've been kind of going a little light. So I'll really probably try and up the weight on some of the lower body stuff, specifically squat, and just really crush those poor little quads of mine.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see where we end up on this. We definitely gotta get some video to share in the final.
Okay, I think Derek's got a video of my first test, so maybe we can slap it together with the video of my second test. And if I'm not too shy, maybe I'll do a before and after picture for the Google Sheet for anybody that's curious what focusing on jumping about per month does to you.
Nice.
Or what not drinking alcohol and eating a lot of meat does. If there's a change, we'll see. I haven't seen anything yet. Well, all right. For everybody listening, thanks for tuning in to Daniel and I probably getting too technical on fitness stuff for you guys. We're just, I guess the catch-up episodes are going to be us digging deep and really only for the hardcore people that care about such things. But for everybody that listens, thank you guys for coming along. We will have our update and the final episode relating to the Vertical Improvement Challenge. And just probably 2.5 weeks or so. Keep your eyes peeled and pray for our knees. Thank you guys, and we look forward to connecting soon.